Hello, and welcome to Soxy Chicks, a Fans First Sports Network podcast. I am Chrystal.
And hello, I'm Bayleigh. I sneezed, so if you heard that in the background, I apologize.
I think you're good. It was very quiet.
I tried. I tried to keep it ladylike.
So, apologies for the unexpected hiatus. There was a lot going on in
Yes.
the month of May.
Yeah, May was kind of crazy for both of us, but we're back and hopefully we'll get more on this schedule because we like doing it. So, and we like being on a schedule too.
I don't have any planned vacations or drama. I don't think you have any planned drama.
No, hopefully I no more drama. That would be nice. And just to get back to my apartment where the Wi-Fi is not terrible because my parents' house is awful. I've tried multiple places in the house and none of them are good. So we'll just roll with it.
Oh well, we're here. So let's just go ahead and start. We've got lots to catch up on, lots of injuries to catch
Ugh,
up on.
that seems to be the running theme in 2024 is who's next to be injured.
Yeah. Do you want to kick us off where we are?
Yeah. Absolutely. So, of course, the Astros have just been dealing with a barrage of injuries. So, Cristian Javier, who was originally placed on the IL May 27th with right forearm discomfort, will now miss the rest of the season with Tommy John, but he might pitch again towards the end of 2025. He was doing pretty well, 3.89 ERA over 34 and two-thirds innings. But of course, they also announced that José Urquidy underwent his second Tommy John. He didn't pitch this season for Houston after sustaining the forearm strain during spring training. So that's just two-thirds of their rotation who had pitched relatively well. I mean, World Series champions for them, pitched well to their run in 2022. So it's just a massive blow for Houston.
Yeah, that's brutal. They have no pitchers. I mean, I heard on Visiting Dugout when I did my Mariners podcast, I heard that they were actually considering the person who does not have a career in pitching in the States, at least. They were like thinking, oh my gosh, should we bring him on at this point because we
I
have
mean,
one.
they've done terrible things in the past, so it doesn't surprise me. You know, why not? If he's gonna
Yeah,
go anywhere, I'd be like, yeah, that tracks. That
seems on
tracks.
par.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, if he's gonna go anywhere, that makes sense. I think I would rather just have the worst season ever. I mean, the Red Sox could technically use someone too, but
Yeah.
we don't want that someone.
The White Sox already have enough drama. They're not going to stoop to that level either.
Imagine just add on a little bit more. It's like, let's see how much more drama we can add to this season. That would be like the icing on the cake for like the whole of 2024 if he somehow
Mhm.
made an appearance in Major League Baseball.
Yeah. Well, and I didn't include this in the notes, but I saw somewhere that the Padres are interested in taking Garrett Crochet, leaving the White Sox with like no one. They already took Dylan Cease. Like the least they could do is not take our other ace. But
My question is, what is left in the Padres system to give up? Because Crochet is yours through 2027. So I would
yeah,
want major prospect return if you're going to do something like that. Like, you know, how with Chris Sale, how you guys ended up getting, you know, two of the biggest prospects from the Red Sox, one including being the number one prospect in all of baseball for Chris Sale. So, I mean, to me, it's like I'd want a package on that level of talent to, you know, to give Crochet. And I feel like at this point, AJ Preller is just traded the entire world to get people. So, like, who does he have to then flip and go and get Crochet?
yeah, and I know they're not close to a deal anywhere. But again, I have no idea
Yeah.
who they could give us.
Yeah, that's the thing. I feel like who has the system to go, like the people that have the system still that's disgusting is Baltimore. If they wanted to add Garrett Crochet, they could easily do that and still just have studs all around because they're studs at the major league level. It's still the number one farm system in baseball. So like to me, if I'm Baltimore, I'm like, sure, here you go. Like
Yeah,
give me Crochet. And then that makes them even more disgusting. But yeah, the Padres is interesting because I just really don't know. And also the Padres always think that they're contending when they're not.
yeah, they never are.
And that's the big problem is like you give Xander Bogaerts $280 million and you trade for Soto, but then you trade him out, but then you try to pretend that you're still somehow competing, yet you gave away the best hitter in baseball. So I really don't know what goes on at San Diego.
Yeah, they're delusional. That's okay.
Truly, especially when you're in the division with the Dodgers. Like, come on.
Yeah, they're not going anywhere. Let's see. We've also got Corey Seager. This one isn't as scary, I guess, but the dreaded like grabbing the hamstring, running to first thing happened. He's not going on the injured list. They seem to think he's going to be ready before the 10 days are up, but they did recall the rookie infielder Davis Wenzel. That's a fun last name, from AAA Round Rock, and they DFA'd their outfielder Derek Hill. So that's a big asset if they actually do lose Corey Seager, though.
Yeah, I just feel like Corey Seager gets injured so easily. But then again, so many of them do nowadays, where it's like, I wonder what the conditioning truly is, that like people are just pulling hamstrings all the time. I just don't know. I feel like the Red Sox need to like fire their medical staff, especially because I was watching Sunday Night Baseball last night, and they were talking about, Kike Hernandez. He's still not good, but it's not like suddenly when he found out that he had two hernias that suddenly he became like 2021 Kike Hernandez. He's still not good. It's like a 63 like OPS plus, but they said that he had been hurt and the Red Sox medical staff could not figure out anything. And he goes to the Dodgers and they're kind of like, hey, this might be a hernia. And that's what it was. So I'm just like, there's just so much like fundamentally with the Red Sox, because it's not even just like the idea of like the injury. There was like, I mean, I know we've gotten like Andrew Bayleigh now, but like before, like last year when we had our other pitching coach, and they were like, could not figure out why Ryan Brazier was terrible. I mean, he still has like the straightest fastball I've ever seen a human throw. But then he gets traded to the Dodgers, and then they were like, oh, let's just implement, I think, like a cutter. They were like, here, let's try this cutter. And next thing you know, he's like unhittable. And I'm like, you're telling me that the Red Sox could not figure something as simple as that? But like the minute you go to the Dodgers, it's like, oh, just do this. And then you're a friggin' superstar. Like, it's stuff like that that really gets me, especially when, you had Kike potentially hurt, and then they just figured out like that, whatever the injury is.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like league wide too. It's not just, I mean, I feel like all these players are just going down. There were seasons where, again, the White Sox lost like 6 different players throughout the season to hamstring, just running to first.
It's crazy. Like, something just like, what are they doing? Like, I mean, like Tristan Casas, like tore rib cartilage on a swing. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, that's insane. And I know Tristan Casas is the somebody who really takes care of his body, so I'm not blaming. Like, he's out there like stretching and doing yoga, all over the field, like infield, outfield. He's like everywhere, and so I know it's like him not taking care of his body, but still, feels like there's something fundamentally wrong going on with these guys and just pulling these things.
Man, brutal.
Yeah, and so I get up next, the rich get richer. Garrett Cole pitched 4 2/3 innings of 1-run ball on Sunday in his second start for Double-A Somerset. He is to make at least one more minor league start on his normal 4 days rest. He would then pitch Friday. Earliest possible return to the Yankees would be the home series against Baltimore, June 18th to the 20th. So, of course, the Yankees are getting, even though the Yankees got walloped by a team that is fundamentally still better than them, the Los Angeles Dodgers took 2 out of 3. They really should have taken 3 out of 3. Dodgers really dropped that last game. But, so the Yankees are going to get Garrett Cole back to already go with, like, Luis Hill, who I will say, though, if you look at all of the deeper numbers, everybody's talking about how he's just pitching this incredible season. It's a really solid season. Tanner Houck is still better. Yeah. Tanner Houck is better in almost everything, in innings pitched, in strikeouts, in WAR, in pretty much everything except for like ERA, which is like, that's why you look deeper. And I'm not saying Luis Hill isn't having a great season, but of course Luis Hill is doing it on the Yankees, and the Yankees happen to be really good right now. So whereas Tanner Houck is having a better season, and people really aren't talking about Tanner Houck, and that frustrates me.
No, that's fair. And again, The Yankees are already really rich in pitching as it is. Carlos Rodon is having like a banner year.
Of course he is.
They don't need their ace
No, and
back.
they're
They
getting
have,
the reigning Cy Young back,
yeah, they have like 3 aces on their team already. So
And of course, then Juan Soto's just playing out of his mind. Aaron Judge is playing out of his mind. Even though I will say, outside of Aaron Judge and Juan Soto, they're really carrying that team. Sure, Anthony
they
Volpe's been
are.
fine. He's been way better than what he was last year in, his first year in in the major leagues. But it's still like, it's those two really carrying that lineup. So if one of them goes down, it's like, oh shit. And it's inevitable that Aaron Judge will somehow hurt himself. So
Yeah.
we'll see how the back half of the season does and if the pitching can really carry them. But then with Cole coming back, somebody has to go to the bullpen. So who is that going to be,
I wish I had those champagne problems.
Yeah, I know, right? It must be nice. It must be really nice to get the reigning Cy Young back and have to send, somebody else back down. It's probably going to be Cortez because I feel like he's the weakest.
Yeah, he's been struggling a bit
In that rotation. But of course, Marcus Stroman's pitching fine. He's pitching like the 3 that he is. He thinks he's an ace, but he's not. But you don't need to be an ace when you have Garrett Cole and then you say Carlos Rodon pitching out of his mind. You get to firmly be the number 3 and you're like, damn, that's a 3. And that's what he is in that rotation. He doesn't have to be an ace. And that angers me, because I want that problem. I wanted to go in with, Brian Bayo being the 3 or the 4 because he's not an ace, as you well know, because that was a beautiful grand slam that he gave up to the worst home run hitting team in baseball. So congratulations to that one.
We'll get into that a bit later.
So angry.
Blue Jays. Alek Manoah is down bad.
Yeah, good. He's an asshole. So it's like a part of me doesn't. I never want anybody to really struggle that much or really be hurt that much. But at the same time, I'm like, he's kind of a dick.
Yes. So I recently saw him rehabbing in Indianapolis. It was Paul Skeen's last minor league start. Yasmani Grandal was rehabbing, and he's Bay, love him. And then Alek was, starting for, I can't remember their Blue Jays farm team, but yeah, he was starting, and he had a bad game. He was pulled pretty early, and now he's going to undergo season-ending surgery to repair the UCL in the right elbow.
Once again.
Yeah.
Like, what is going on? I know it's velocity, I know it's spin, but damn.
Yeah. They don't know yet if it's going to be a Tommy John surgery or if it's just UCL being repaired with an internal brace.
Yeah, that's what Giolito did. That's what some of them are opting for. We'll see how that plays out,
Yeah. He originally left May 29th. That was like his second or third start because, again, I saw him very early May rehabbing. So yeah, he left against the White Sox with elbow discomfort in the right elbow. Had an MRI, and it just had an elbow sprain at the time, but I guess it has since been worse. And yeah, he started the season with the shoulder inflammation, so he wasn't even on the team to start. He's having a tough time.
Yeah, but the Blue Jays as a whole are having a tough time. That team's down bad, especially because that's how you can't deal with projections. Everybody's saying that like they were going to be better than the Red Sox, and the Red Sox are. It's like interesting. Jared Carrabis had a tweet saying that I believe there were 10 teams with winning records, one team at 500 right here, and then everybody else has a losing record. And it's interesting comparing it to, like, granted, we are only in June, but comparing it to last year, there were 17 teams that finished with winning records. So this season as a whole, it's kind of crazy because people believe that like a team like the Blue Jays were going to be up there competing. And like, sure, the Yankees have just been playing out of their minds.
Yeah.
Like, even like Cleveland has been playing out of their minds too. So there's certain teams that people just weren't necessarily expecting to play that well. And then the teams that are playing that well, that aren't playing that well and they expect to be playing well, like the Blue Jays, is kind of crazy because I remember when everybody's like, oh, the Red Sox didn't re-sign Justin Turner and he's going to go to the Blue Jays and it's going to be great and the Blue Jays are going to be great. And I was like, guys, I love Justin Turner. I loved he embraced Boston immediately. He had like his like big charity 5K. He did great things for the city, but he did not have a place really on this team. So I was fine with them moving on, and for the youth too, especially if this is going to be like that year to see what you have in your system and who's going to contribute at the major league level for you going forward. Like this is do it this year, and like Justin Turner takes away from that really, and it's been a cluster up there in Toronto. It's insane. I feel bad for their fans because I don't know what happened to Vladdy Jr., man.
Yeah. Oh, also I looked. Alek is only 26 years old.
Yeah, like he's still young too, and he had a really, really, really solid season overall, like a couple of years ago. So the regression that he's taken is kind of insane, really. If you really look at it, you're like, wow, how can you suddenly? Did you? But then at the same time, it's like I don't necessarily think you can get that lucky for like a whole season. You know, if he had like a really great month or something, you could be like, oh, but the rest was so it's interesting that he is doing as poorly as he is now.
Yeah, he was an all-star in 2022.
Yeah, and it's like, oh damn, and you feel bad when that happens to guys. And then the Blue Jays finally like DFA'd Kevin Biggio. You know, just because your last name is Biggio doesn't mean you're going to be really great at Major League Baseball.
No.
It's unfortunate, you know, they were just taking everybody's sons and thinking that was going to really help them. But it's still crazy, like the regression of like what Vladdy Jr. and things like, and you're just like, wow, this is just crazy. We're good for me because, you know, the Red Sox might finish in third and not fifth for the first time in a while. So like, yay. But I did an interesting tweet about like, I looked at what the Red Sox opening day lineup was supposed to be, and there's like 7 people that were in that lineup that have either been on the IL or are currently on the IL. So it frustrates me that they're hovering in and around 500, that if they played to this point at full health, man, they'd probably be really, really, really good. Probably still potentially be in third place, but they'd probably be like leading the wild card though. You know, and it's crazy what injuries can really do to a team. Like to complete, like the Red Sox are throwing out AAA lineups right now, and it's because that's really all that they can be doing right now. So many people are injured.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, and then some more injuries. The Tiger second baseman Colt Keith, awesome name by the way. He left Saturday's game against the Brewers after colliding with Akil Baddoo in the third inning. Detroit announced that he's dealing with left knee discomfort, the severity of which will still be determined, but there's no structural damage to the knee. Red Sox have been dealing with that too. Both Rafael Devers and Tyler O'Neill have been dealing with knee discomfort, and thankfully, both of them as well is showing no structural damage. So hopefully they'll be back, you know, for the next 6 games of misery that the Red Sox are probably going to be facing. But at least they'll have 2 guys in there that can maybe get hits. So, left knee discomfort's been, plaguing the Red Sox as well. So.
Yeah, I would not recommend knee discomfort or structural damage as someone who broke her knee almost a year ago to the day. It's not fun.
Yeah, you kind of need that knee, you know.
Yeah. Oh, it's still brutal. I still have PTSD when I walk into my kitchen.
Oh, did you hurt it in the kitchen?
I did. I slipped in the kitchen.
Oh, no. Oh.
I threw away those shoes. I said, because I had like newer shoes on too, and I slipped because there was not enough grip, I think, and I just went down and I got like I was pretty swollen anyway, so I just like grabbed a pair of like flip-flops and I tossed those shoes in the trash as I
done with these
going to the ER. It's like, nope.
But don't you love how something as simple as like slipping can lead to such a massive injury?
Yeah.
It's just like, you know, when you see like the perfect example is like when guys are just like busting their ACLs and all they do is like a little bit of a slight turn and Ronald Acuna Jr. is done for the season. And it doesn't look like they're doing really much. And then it's just like twisting the wrong way. And next thing you know, it's like,
geez. I mean, pitchers have slipped off the mound and seriously injured themselves. Like it's just season-ending injuries.
Yeah, and you're just like, oh, fun, you know. And then other guys get hit in the face, and they're like, brush the dirt off your shoulder,
basically
and then
lose their eye and their back, and they're good.
It's crazy. It's just absolutely crazy.
We're gonna take a very quick break because there's a very massive drama story coming up. So we'll be right back. Okay, we are back with a ton of Padres drama.
Man, the Padres. But this whole thing, yeah, you will get into it. This whole, just as a whole, is insane.
Yeah. So we've got a lifetime ban for gambling from infielder. How do you pronounce
Is
this?
Is it Tucupita?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Tucupita.
I never listen to news. I only read it. Yeah.
Right. And then you're like, what does that sound like?
So Homeboy has been banned for life. He also had more people involved in this. So there was an A's reliever, Michael Kelly, a couple minor leaguers, Jay Groom, Jose Rodriguez, and Andrew Saalfrank.
Yeah.
They were all handed just 1 year suspensions for betting. So we could split this up because there's a lot.
There's a lot. Yeah, for sure. But what's interesting is why I think he got this lifetime ban versus other guys getting only the season is because he was like, I think it was when he was on the Pirates, they found that he was on the IL and actively betting on the Pirates.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just want to know how you don't think you're gonna get caught.
He's a big dummy.
Dear God.
So yeah, Marcano, he placed 387 baseball bets, including 231 MLB-related wagers through a legal sports book between the 2022 and 2023 season. He's bet more than $150,000 on baseball, with 87,319 of that on the MLB-related wagers. Most of his MLB bets were parlays, and he was bad. He only won 4.3% of them.
That's the thing is you're noticing, like, they're not good at this. It's not like they're suddenly like, oh, well, okay, you can kick me out for like the rest of my career and I'll never play baseball again. But like, oh, look at how much money I won betting on baseball. So like, I'm just going to go sit on my millions. It's like, no, you're terrible at betting.
You no longer have a career and now you're broke.
Yeah. So I'm just like, is it worth it? And then, so these other guys were not hit as bad because seemingly they were happening when they were in the minors. So while Kelly was a minor leaguer with the Astros, when he placed 10 bets involving 9 MLB games, including 3 Houston contests in October of 21, according to the league's investigation. The 31-year-old bet a total of $99.22 and had a net profit of $28.30 after winning 5 wagers. It's like he didn't take part in any of the contests he gambled on, so he didn't bet on any of the minor league teams that he was assigned to. So he was just kind of like, if you and I were going to go and just bet on baseball, but the difference is we're not affiliated with Major League Baseball, so we can legally do that in the states where it's legal, but we are not. Hey, Major League Baseball pays your checks. And this is one of the big things that they were like, hey, just don't bet on baseball.
Like,
it's just like, how dumb are these men? Like, and then the Jay Groom one, I mean, the Red Sox really dodged a damn bullet on this one because, they took him, I believe, 12th overall. And at the time, he was a lefty. People were comparing him to like Garrett Cole level talent. Well, he just dealt with so many injuries, could never really get back. They dealt him to the Padres. And now we're finding out that, he too was betting on baseball when he was a minor leaguer with the Red Sox. So it's just like, wow, we really dodged a bullet. And I remember people were like really, really, really pissed when they traded him. They were like, Jay Groom. I was like, Jay Groom was like, okay, yeah, he was like the number 1 pick that we took that 1 year, but he had never panned out. So it's like, why are we suddenly upset that Jay Groom is being traded? And he had dealt with other issues too, as I believe his father had been in prison, and there were a lot of character issues that they were saying. And the reason why he had dropped down to 12 with the Red Sox, it wasn't his talent was super high, but they were just like character issues. He goes to 12. Dombrowski's like, well, this is the best talent available, which is what you do. If the best talent's there, you take that talent. But he just had a lot of baggage, and now this is all a part of it now too.
Man, yeah. I also forgot that Jose Rodriguez was ever a part of the White Sox minor league system. He placed
28th, right? He
28th.
placed what? Yeah. Jeez.
This
How
other
dumb are
guy,
these?
28 MLB-related bets. All three players gambled on the Red Sox, White Sox, and Diamondbacks.
Oh my God. Wow.
They're so dumb.
They are really dumb. Like, this is the one thing, at least, like, if you're going to do it, have a scapegoat like Shohei. That's a joke.
Yeah.
That's a joke. I don't believe that Shohei was, but at least if you're going to have a scapegoat, no. Like, these, or be as important as Shohei Ohtani if you're going to bet on baseball.
Or make the money that Shohei makes so that you don't realize that like $4 million is missing.
Yeah,
from your
you have
account.
so much money that you're like, oh, somebody's been stealing from me. Oh, geez, I had no clue. I'd be like, I'd count, but it's like having never been that rich. I think if I ever attained money like that, I'd be like, okay, where is every little bit of my money going? But you're like, oh, $4 million. But yeah, these guys were just placing like what $700 bets and losing like 600 of that seven. Like they're just not good at what they're attempting to do.
Jay has a net loss of $433.54 out of the $453.74 he bet.
Oh my God.
Rodriguez bet a total of $724.09 on MLB related wagers. It doesn't say how much he lost. And then this other guy, $447.07 and lost $272.64 according to the league, who added that the minor leaguers didn't appear in any of the contests they bet on involving their assigned affiliate club. So they were at least smart about it, unlike the other guy.
The other guy just being like, I'm on the IL and I'm going to bet on this team. I'm going to go full Pete Rose. I'm just going to bet on the team that I'm playing for. It's just like.
And he could have easily just bet against them and made money because they were not good that year.
I know. That's the thing. You probably would have made a lot of money and we'd be like, oh, damn. Or it's kind of like the one bet that I want to place is like put $10 on the Oakland Athletics to win the World Series because I think you'd win like $100,000. Like that's, you're only out $10, but you potentially going to take a lot of money in. Like make that bet. Don't bet the Pittsburgh Pirates to win baseball games.
For more betting advice, please tune in to Soxy Chicks.
Yes. So, yeah, this is it. Come on, BetMGM, sponsor us.
Oh, man, that would
But
be
that is maybe my favorite thing, whereas they're like, do not bet on baseball. Betting on baseball so bad. Brought to you by BetMGM.
Or all the Shohei stuff in the article is sponsored by...
Yeah, DraftKings or, Underdog Fantasy. I'm just like, it's so like embedded in baseball now, betting, but it's like, it's still so like forbidden for their players to do it. Like to me, there's far worse things you can do. The idea of like, we know that like with Pete Rose, he was just like a terrible person. Yeah. But say he wasn't a terrible person and he was just like, I love to bet on baseball. A part of me is like, there are far worse things you could do, i.e. steroids. They're just betting on the game of baseball. But when it is such a rule that they do have, and it's like, just don't do it. Like, how hard is it to not do it? It's the same with steroids, especially today. How hard is it to not take steroids?
Yeah. I remember, and I think I mentioned this when we first talked about Shohei. I was just, scrolling on Twitter and I came across, somebody mentioning like how gambling can really ruin someone's life, and she had been in a lot of gambling debt and nobody knew about that until she said something, and then another person replies talking about gambling can ruin families, and then the next bet is like a sponsored DraftKings post, and I was like,
sorry, I have this addiction. Well, come on, make sure you open the bet
room.
No. They just see betting and they're like, oh, they must be talking about good things about betting. Here's this ad tailored to betting. Yeah. Gosh. I mean, it's an addiction like alcoholism and lots of other things. And it's like we laugh about how stupid you could be. I think these guys are just stupid. I don't necessarily see them having like big gambling addictions. They just seem like they're kind of dumb.
Very dumb, apparently. I found some team specific news for the two of us.
So yes.
Start with this. The White Sox don't have any plans to fire manager Pedro Grifol. whatever. They are expected to reassess the situation in the offseason, see if maybe a new manager can actually bring talent into Chicago. As we all know, they recently set a franchise worst mark with 14 consecutive losses and own MLB's worst record of 17-48. Grifol's record has been 78-149 since taking over the White Sox. This is his second season. And his winning percentage is the third worst for a manager in franchise history. But hey, they did just end their 14-game losing streak by winning
welcome.
2 in a row against the Red Sox.
Yep. I said that losing one would be acceptable if it was the crochet game, but I said losing any more than that, it's like, what the hell are you doing? But that's the Red Sox. They're the definition of mid. They are currently the only 500 team in the game of baseball. And watch them go 6-0 against the Phillies and Yankees, because shit like that happens to mid teams. Yeah, so you never know. There's a good chance they're going to get completely spanked like they should. But there's also a chance that, hey, shit happens and they just crush both of those teams. You just never know. You never know. But it's interesting because it's like with the manager, it's like when you're not investing in your team at all and there's so much lack of talent on that team, how much of that can fall on a manager? It's like the same thing with like Alex Cora in 2018. I'm pretty sure I could have taken that roster to a World Series championship. It's what you do in the seasons where you just have kind of crap. And he has kind of crap, and he's taken them to being a 500 team, and there is the potential that when some guys come back that, you know, they're only a game and a half out of the wild card. Like, that's doing really well with what you have for crap, mid to crap, whereas like the White Sox are just so bad that if you brought in like the greatest manager to ever live, you brought like the 1990s version of like Joe Torre, I don't think he would do much better with what you have on that field.
No.
So it's like, how much blame can you put on a manager? I don't think if you suddenly go out, say like the Dodgers don't make the World Series and they go ahead and, you know, they fire their manager, do you think suddenly like he goes over there that like, you know, Dave Roberts is going to make them like a World Series champion level team? No, Dave Roberts has an incredible roster to play with. So I don't even think Dave Roberts or Alex Cora could suddenly make the Chicago White Sox next year unless you do big things and invest in your team.
Sell the whole team.
Yeah, like sell this, you know, it's just crazy.
And I will die on the hill that Pedro is the scapegoat.
Oh, of course. I'm sure he is.
Hey, look over here and don't focus on Reinsdorf or Getz or anything like that. He's the scapegoat. But he is not a great manager. He makes very questionable decisions, especially in the bullpen. He often kind of leaves his starters out to die. And, you know, that last game against the Red Sox where he puts Martin Maldonado in to pinch
with the bases loaded, right?
With the bases loaded situation. Martin Maldonado, who is by far the worst hitter on that team right now.
Yeah, because I remember they questioned him and they were like, oh, why didn't you pinch hit? And it's like, oh, well, and you have excuses. And it's frustrating. But, you know, at least like your frustration is by far worse than my frustrations could ever be, you know, because it's like I've seen my ownership actually spend money. Yeah. But then, you know, we're going to go into John Henry, who is maybe the stupidest billionaire ever, who just should keep his mouth shut. He says he does not plan to sell the Red Sox because, of course, it is the third highest valued franchise in Major League Baseball. It is a cash cow for him. So why would he ever? He has taken criticism from fans for the club's struggles over the past few seasons and his lack of regular public commentary. But now he's pretty much come out and said, and it wasn't even a face-to-face interview. Apparently this interview was done via email. And over email, he sort of says that the Red Sox fans are entitled, that, you know, they expect only championships, and that the idea of how difficult it is to win a championship, we can't comprehend. And if you really listen to Red Sox fans, yeah, we want to win championships because we've seen 4 of them. But really at this point, since 2019, we just want 2021 was great. It was like a fun little fluky thing. We want competitive baseball. We want to believe that our team is good enough to when you get in there, you could then win a championship. We're not saying you have to completely build us like the Dodgers that if you don't win it all, it's a complete and utter failure. No, we want to be the Phillies where you're built really well, and even now you have one of the best records in baseball. You're better than the Dodgers right now, but on paper, nobody had ever thought. They're like, oh, you're a good team. Like, we want that. We want to, have an owner investing really in us, I mean, the Phillies are going to face some of like what the Red Sox would face with Dombrowski. With the DD will get what you want, but he's going to destroy your farm system. And then when he moves on, hopefully for the fan base's sake, it's with a championship. At least with the Red Sox, it was. He's going to leave you in disarray as he goes on to the next thing where he can just trade and spend. That's what he does, and like you can't hold it against him. So like the Red Sox are just in that transition period, but they could have been a hell of a lot better if we're just asking for you to go to the luxury tax. You're well under it. So to me, it's like a lot of people are criticizing Henry and he's saying stupid shit. But my true thing is what he does next this offseason, what he does going into 2025 with about $100 million to play with. If he does what he's supposed to do, and I'm not saying Steve Cohen the situation where you're just throwing money for the sake of throwing money, like understand where you should be putting your money to make your team really good. That's what they did in 2018 that if you look at it, we had our homegrown core and then we were like, you know what? We don't have pitching. Let's give David Price a ton of money. Let's trade for Chris Sale. Like, how do we make this team really, really good? And they can do that in 2025. Especially with how well our prospects are doing currently in the minors. So it's like the future is really bright. And how do you supplement this talent with already established major league talent? So 2025 will be my true test as to if John Henry actually gives a shit. I mean, I don't think he's ever gave a shit. He's not a fan. He's not a fan of the Boston Red Sox. But see, that's the difference is like Steinbrenner was a fan of the Yankees. Steinbrenner always wanted to win above all. So it's like I want that mentality of like I want to win, but you need to do it properly, and we'll see if he does that in 2025. But he also should probably shut his mouth.
Yeah. Steve Cohen heard "dumbest billionaire" and said, "Please hold my beer, Bayleigh." He also should probably shut his mouth,
right?
So he claims that the Mets can still turn their season around, and quote, "Fans have been through worse." He even then praised his front office and manager Carlos Mendoza during a news conference before Sunday's, final 2 games of that London series. Philly won that first game. The Mets entered Sunday's game against their, rival 9 games under 500, just over 7 weeks from the trade deadline. So again, Gary Cohen, or not Gary Cohen. I am just mixing up Mets people at this point. Steve Cohen, big dumb idiot, does not need to talk, needs to actually reassess what he is doing as a Mets owner because he is a big fan of the Mets. He's been very open about that all along. Like he was excited and he wanted to throw all this money at people, but he's throwing big chunks of money at the wrong people.
That's 100% the problem for sure. Like, why are you not? Why? I mean, I'm not really sure what the Mets farm system is to have made a trade for a Corbin Burns or anything like that. I don't think it's good. So great. That makes it trickier. So then that's why you're trying to throw money at a Max Scherzer, or you're throwing money at a Justin Verlander when you should be trying to get aces that are not 48 years old. I don't need them, but that aren't on the end of their career. The idea of I'm going to give him $45 million and see how it goes. And it went poorly as shit. This isn't 2013 when they were both in their 20s and we're trying to win a championship on the Detroit Tigers. If they're both older at this point, Scherzer's lucked himself into, getting traded to the Texas Rangers, doing nothing, and then having another ring for it. It's interesting just to see how certain people, if you have the money, doesn't mean you should be just throwing it away willy-nilly on just the incorrect players.
Yeah. See, Cohen's just Man,
Yeah.
I wanted to love him coming in as kind of the Mets as a backup team for me, but he has just really shit the bed in so many ways.
Yeah, the only good thing he did was he went out and he got David Stearns, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you have to trust David Stearns.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. But I don't know. It's like him, the idea of like Mets fans have been through worse. I think we could turn it around. Is he gonna do something stupid at the trade deadline? Like, is he gonna trade the assets he already doesn't have for somebody who's gonna not help a team that's, a team that's like drowning?
Yeah. That's my biggest concern is what he is going to do at that trade deadline.
Yeah. What should be smarter is, as much as it hurts Mets fans, like trading a Pete Alonso is probably more beneficial for your organization.
I know, and I refuse to come to that
Yeah.
realization because I am a big Pete Alonso girly. He is my favorite himbo in Major League Baseball of all time. Um, so yeah, like that truth really stings, but it is true. It is true. He's got so much talent and he could just be better somewhere else. I think the Mets are just squandering his talent
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah. So, like, that's truly, that's the issue that you run into, and whether or not, you're going to hold on to that talent. Like, that's kind of the issue that, like, with Chaim Bloom was, not trading Xander Bogaerts, even though I still think the whole world thought that the Red Sox were going to be able to re-sign Xander Bogaerts because nobody saw $280 million on the table.
No.
So, like, that's different. But, like, I think JD Martinez should have been on his way out. Like, the only person they really traded was Christian Vasquez, and they ended up getting two really good pieces back in that. So you could have just gotten even more, but you were sort of like almost afraid to pull the trigger. That was really my only gripe with Chaim Bloom. But then at the same time, do you just have ownership saying to you, don't you dare trade Xander, we're gonna get him, like we're gonna, like, you don't know. But then when you completely, I mean, I can't even say you lowballed Xander Bogaerts when somebody's like, here's $280 million Xander Bogaerts. So it's really difficult to even like say that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just feel like not really understanding like where your team is, and either being like, okay, we need to sell this all off, or we need to actually invest in them. It's difficult because like Alex Verdugo came out and said that, like, yeah, when I was on the Red Sox, we probably should have invested a little bit more. And I was like, yes and no. Like in 2022 and 2023, you should not have really invested more in those teams. Now, potentially, if they have a good next 6 games and they start getting a Tristan Casas back, then yeah, you can teeter on the idea of trading, but with trading with the assets that aren't gonna mortgage your future. Maybe start getting more into like the 10 to 15 range of your prospects. Yeah, hell yeah. Like, let's go out and get somebody that could maybe help us jump in the wild card. Because again, once you get in there, you don't know what the hell could happen. So
Yeah.
it's just really assessing your team properly. And somebody like Steve Cohen, I think, has an issue with that because you get blinded by being a fan at the same time.
That's what I was just about to say.
Yeah. And it's tough because I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh, we're close. I really need that guy. I need Justin Verlander. I need Matt Scherzer. Like, I need these guys. Like, give them all the money in the world. But it's like, Steve, that's not going to help your team. I don't care. I want them. I'm playing MLB The Show. Like,
Exactly.
I get that from a fan standpoint too. If I had $15 billion and it was like the Red Sox are up for sale, I'm like, oh my God, nobody's going to outbid me. This is my team, But then I would hope that I'd be more level-headed to trust the people that know this, like this part of the game more than I ever do.
Yeah, just get him a PS5 and MLB The Show and let him ruin the Mets that way.
Yeah.
And let some like more day-to-day competence person take on the Mets.
Yeah, and maybe like that's all you can really hope, that he will truly let Stearns do then.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we can move away from the
Yes.
drama.
Okay. Couple of fun, interesting things. Bryce Harper's hoping that Major League Baseball will be able to participate in the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles, and not just doing sort of like a World Baseball Classic. But I have heard, this Manfred come out and say, I mean, it is a big ask to say in July to stop the season for them to go and, somebody is, hang on, I need to pause for a second because I don't know why somebody is out. Yeah, thank you. Somebody.
All right. Anyway. as we were saying.
Yes, before I got rudely interrupted. It's just interesting because it's like I feel like it's going to be really difficult to just pause the season in July. Like
Mm-hmm.
when like the July, like the dog days of summer, so they can just go play in the Olympics. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's so much easier for basketball because their season's over,
Yeah.
you know?
And I mean, what would this? Because we've already got this All-Star game
Mhm.
that goes on every year, so they would have to do. I imagine they're doing an All-Star game, but that's also if you're sending these players to the All-Star game, they're probably Olympic level talent.
Mhm.
So it's like, well, what do you do? Do you pause for a couple weeks for these Olympics, or do you just continue your schedule, send these players to the All-Star game, and do something that just all baseball fans in general will appreciate, just for like some higher viewership for the Olympics that really doesn't need viewership help?
Yeah,
And again, this is another injury prone accident waiting to happen. We saw what happened during the World Baseball Classic,
yep.
um, so many injuries. We had, oh, I just forget his name, Edwin Diaz,
Yeah, oh,
in
yeah,
just a brutal way right before the season started. And he, missed so much time because of that. So, I mean, you're already taking risks every 4 years with the WBC.
for sure.
And then you're taking risks with to be on, I mean, you take risks the entire season.
Of
To
course.
be honest, going to the All-Star game, not necessarily needed because again, who knows what's going to happen then? And then now you're going to add another whole trial of like incredibly competitive sport just so that you could win gold.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, sorry, Bryce. There was a chance for you to be an Olympian. It was when you were in the minors. Like, I know you were in there for like 3 days, but like, it's like Tristan Casas has a gold, a silver medal from the, the Tokyo Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
He was because he was eligible to, play then. So, would it be cool to see these guys playing? Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
But I don't think. And are you telling me that? Okay, so it's like there'd be one of two options. One, the season continues on without you and you're just supplemented by minor leaguers for like let's
Right.
say 2 weeks, or the season has to stop for 2 weeks. So now if let's say they're like we can't stop the season so we're going to replace you. Is Bryce Harper really in the middle of July in a pennant race going to say, "Oh, sorry, I just really got to get my, I got to get my Olympic medal." You're going to say no to competing for the team that has invested $330 million in you.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, sure, it'd be fun to see, but I also think it's kind of epic. Like, I loved watching in 2021, seeing like Tristan Casas playing and be like, oh man, this guy's he's real close. Like, he's gonna help my team. Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
really cool to see, the future there too. And like, they got really close. I mean, you're running into because the issue is that Japan can send their best players, and you can send A ball to like triple A ball players. They can't even be on the 40-man roster type thing. So it's like the competition's not as strong, but like still they came out with a silver medal against like Japan's juggernaut. So like
Yeah.
that's really cool, like to be able to see that. So I like that aspect of seeing baseball in the Olympics, other than the idea of like, okay, it's going to be so unfair for every other team if you are quite literally making a super monster team. But I know that's like that for basketball. That's why they win all the time, because
Yep.
it's all NBA All Stars out there. So, it's just, to me, the Olympics used to be about amateur players.
Mm-hmm.
And it's completely changed with like how much money they make and things like that. But the idea of like, yeah, sorry, Bryce, you got $330 million. You play for a really good team right now. You're not going to win the Olympic gold medal unless you have something else that can somehow take your way. Breakdancing. Breakdancing's in the Olympics now. So start breakdancing, Bryce, because you're not going to get an Olympic gold medal for playing baseball. I'm sorry.
Also, can he really take his like 27 kids to the Olympic Village? There's no room for them.
No, right? Absolutely not.
No.
So he'd have to go alone, and it was like, oh, I wonder what temptations could be there, Bryce.
Oh gosh, man. He's gonna father seven. No, they give out condoms at the and I was reading something
It's
else,
true. It's true.
and they were like, we have made just like athletes sleep in these twin-size beds to, try to prohibit any action taking place, and we give all these condoms out, and people are like, do you really think that like there aren't other places to get a little frisky?
But also, a twin-size bed,
Yeah,
has
twin-size
nobody
bed,
gone to
it's so
college?
happening.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like, they've gone to college, you made it work in college, I'm pretty
were you
sure.
ever in a dorm room at any point
Yeah,
in your life?
that's hilarious.
So I was like, you're not really preventing anything, but like props to you for at least giving condoms out to prevent STDs.
Yes. Yes, thankful, but I wonder how many, like, babies have been conceived in the Olympic
That's
Village.
when there's a powerful baby though.
It would be, like, that's where you find your like, you find your man, and you're like, "Alright, I know I'm gonna, like, create an athlete, I'm already an athlete, I'm gonna be like, alright, who is the best athlete right here? Let's do this."
Yeah.
That's, like, literally what Serena Williams' father did. He went out and found, like, the strongest female athlete he could and created super babies.
That's what you do. I
Yeah.
mean, duh, if you have that opportunity.
Yeah.
Moving on from super babies.
Woo!
The Blue Jays did have one good thing happen to them recently, I guess. Kevin Gausman pitched his first shutout of his 12-year career, a 5-hitter, and the Toronto Blue Jays win against the A's 7-0 on Saturday.
That's crazy. But then there was probably about like 8 years where Kevin Gausman was not good at pitching
Yeah.
baseball. So
Yeah.
like that tracks a little bit more. He had to go to San Francisco and Andrew Bailey to figure out how
Oh,
to play well.
yeah. And again, it's also, no offense, it's the A's. They
Yeah,
still got
poor
5
A's.
hits.
Poor
But
A's.
hey, congrats on not taxing your already bad bullpen.
Yes, yes. Oh my God. And then we have some news. Yainer Diaz homered in his 4th consecutive game and drove in 3 runs. And Framber Valdez pitched a complete game 4-hitter in the Astros 7-1 victory over the Angels, another extremely sad franchise.
Yeah.
I,
Although
they, did-
the Angels, they got them back. Sunday, they walked off the Astros 9-7 after outfielder with the best name of Trey Cabbage
yes,
dropped a potential game-saving catch over the fence in left field.
that's
That
brutal.
sucks.
They did need some luck. That's good. At least they got a little bit of luck, because I did recently also see a listing of, baseball perspectives, like top 100, and how many people, how many teams had so many in the top 100, and they get down here, they get down, and the Angels a big goose egg. So
Yeah.
even organizationally, that team is dog shit, and I feel so bad for, the 6 fans that are out there that aren't Dodgers fans.
Then they have no one left.
No. Like
No
there's
one.
there's no help for that team. You talk about somebody who needs to sell. Artie Moreno, please sell your team to maybe somebody who can just completely clean house and trade Mike Trout. Like,
Yeah, please let
yeah,
Mike Trout compete somewhere when
yeah.
he's healthy again.
Come on, I'll take him in Boston. I don't even give a shit. Like, it's a lot of money, but like, come on, like, it's Mike Trout.
I watched him and Shohei in Chicago in the freezing cold rain one evening just so that I could see them play, Mike Trout
Yeah.
and Ohtani. I mean, it was we froze, and I basically said after Shohei finally hit the home run, I was like, okay, we can go now.
Yeah, we're
Hop
done.
back
Like,
on
it's
the
too
train.
cold.
Let's go home. I saw what I needed to see. We're done.
Oh. But that's too bad. And then Atlanta signed utility man Brian Anderson to an MLB deal. He will be active for Tuesday's game against the Boston Red Sox. Woo! That was a little while ago, I guess, right? 31-year-old hit a combined 66 homers with 273 RBI, 740 OPS over 7 games with the Miami Marlins and Milwaukee Brewers. His best season came in 2019 when he went deep 20 times with an 811 OPS over 126 games. He made 50 starts at third base, 35 and right for the Brewers last season. Yeah, I mean, it's like, do whatever you can. It's like, they're right now, who is it? It's like Harold Ramirez is out there that I want the Red Sox just to grab up, because like he was good last year and he's been struggling this year. But like, it's sort of, if you need these guys to help, especially like, with Atlanta dealing with their injuries, like what's the literal worst that could happen?
Exactly.
Like,
You have
Like
a warm body in the
yeah.
field.
Yeah, and the Red Sox literally were like they are employing Garrett Cooper, who I think once Masataka Yoshida comes off the IL, I think he's going bye-bye. But you still try it. Like he wasn't completely terrible with the Cubs. The Cubs didn't need him, but
Yeah.
we needed something to help supplement first base and losing Tristan Casas. So I mean, hell, go for it, try it. What is the literal worst that could happen in situations like this?
For sure. In very embarrassing yet hilarious news, this has been a thing on Twitter that I've talked about previously. The
It's
White
great.
Sox are pushing to make Martin Maldonado the All-Star catcher. Because
So great.
every team has to send one person.
That is true. So, like, who do you think on your team could be your representation? Crochet?
Crochet. Maybe Luis Robert now that he's back. But yeah, I mean, I would definitely say Crochet or Fetty. They have a chance. Gavin Sheets. Never in my life would I think I would ever say that Gavin Sheets should be on the All-Star team, but he's been proving himself lately.
He played pretty well in 4 games against the Red Sox.
He's been on a hit streak. And Paul DeJong also.
Yeah.
He's leading the team in home runs right now. Not a lot, but he's leading them. But no, instead of putting someone legitimate, and because this franchise has turned into such a joke this year, we are trying to get Maldonado onto the All-Star team this year.
It's so funny, like, because I want how they'll always like do the updates for like see who's like leading. I want an update to just like see if White Sox fans are rallying the troops and rallying together to get him to the All-Star, because it would be genuinely hilarious if like the starting catcher for the All-Star game for the American League is Martin Maldonado.
I mean, obviously it started on Twitter, and it White Sox Twitter is, I say in the most lovingly way, a big cesspool right now. And I rarely check Facebook, but to like basically just share my articles and stuff. And I saw it in like White Sox Facebook groups. They're like, oh, and they're like sharing these tweets, and they're like, oh, we should go vote for him. I'm like, oh no. If it's made it to the boomers, then we're doomed.
Yeah, it's probably not going to stand a chance, but it's still funny, and it's still something that, White Sox fans can, be excited about, because like obviously you watch every game whether or not you want to, but you're doing it,
Unfortunately, tonight I am the boss. Brett's out, so I have to watch and edit tonight too.
So you're like, yeah, it's like your job is pain, it's like the pain of it, but
And it's a late game because they're in Seattle.
Oh God, yeah.
I just want to be in bed.
Yeah, no, that's awful. I feel bad. Like, it's like I've had to watch some terrible Red Sox teams, but I've always said that if I could live through 2012, I'm pretty sure I could live through anything. And other people will be like, they were like 2022 was bad. I was like, hey, no, 2012 is bad. The two terrible teams in like actual terrible, complete and utter disgraces were like 2012 and 2020, and 2020 just didn't matter because it was a 60-game stupid season, and I got Marcelo Meyer from it, so literally do not care.
It was nothing compared to what you guys dealt with in 2012.
Oh God, just so bad. And like that's why it was like, I think the gods were like, you know what, 2013, you're gonna put together an okay roster, but somehow everything's gonna work out real well and you're gonna win it all. It's gonna be kind of fluky, but and some people are like, that wasn't a fluke. They were great all season. I'm like, it doesn't matter. It's still a literal fluke. 2012, a 5th place team. They win the World Series in 2013. 2014, a 5th place team. 2015, they weren't good. 2016, they started to get better. 17, 18. So, I mean, it was definitely a fluke in 2013. And I'm not saying that doesn't make them a good team. They were a great team, but it was still fluky that they won it. 2009 was a fluke for the Yankees, really, to win that World Series, too. Like, doesn't take it away from the fact that it was a great team. It still felt kind of fluky,
I get that. Yeah. So before we wrap it up, obviously we just had a fun London series taking place with the Phillies and the Mets, which while we're on this, I have to look up a tweet real fast.
Oh yeah.
That I thought was hilarious. I retweeted it, so it should be pretty easy to find.
Mm-hmm.
This was during Game 1. This was my lovely Mets mutual Maggie Wiggin. She quoted something that the ESPN announcer said, which is, "This is the worst nightmare for the Mets." And she said, an ESPN announcer who has never watched the Mets. Because they were Metsing pretty hard.
Yeah.
That first game.
Met be Metting. Like,
but
the
yeah,
Phillies.
Phillies were the home team.
Of course.
Philly Fanatic was wiling out everywhere.
I did love that. I saw him dressed as a beefeater. I was a fan.
Yeah. Well, I wrote that in here. He, in full uniform as a Royal Guard, made a mid-game appearance to the broadcasters to deliver tea. Because it was tea time.
We love that. Like, we absolutely love that. But this one's really funny, that It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia star Rob McElhenney couldn't choose between Bryce Harper and Chase Utley to catch his first pitch, so he turned a double play with them instead. And then, of course, Chrystal said, side note, Chase Utley looked good. I mean, Chase Utley always looks good. I will say, though, being a diehard fan of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, I don't like the fact that there was a choice, because if you know the show, you know that Mac's love for Chase Utley knows no bounds.
Yep.
So who is Bryce Harper and what? Get out of the way. So if this was true Mac fashion, it should have been a catch with him and Chase Utley. But that is a fun little gimmick. And God, the privilege of being able to just be like, oh, I'm going to turn a double play with Bryce Harper and friggin' Chase Utley. Life sucks for Rob McElhenney, doesn't it?
I know, right? If you had to choose between those two. But yeah, I was watching that, and I thought Chase Utley for some reason was older, because that like white hair really throws you off.
He's got the salt and pepper white hair for a while. Yeah, even when he's playing.
He is almost a year younger than my husband still. And I was like,
you're like, he's an old man.
Because at first I was like, oh, he looks really good for his age. And then I looked it up and I was like, he's younger than my husband. He still looks really great.
Good, but you're thinking, oh, he's like a 58-year-old man.
I'm thinking like he's gotta be older to have that much.
Yeah, gray hair, right?
Gray and white running through there, but no, he's 45.
Yeah, and he was playing up until like a couple, like not that long ago.
Yeah.
Like when the Dodgers, I think, was he on the 2017 Dodger team that lost World Series? I think he may have been. So like that may have been his last season. So that's at least within recent, the last decade he's been playing baseball.
Yeah, he joined. Where is he at? Yeah, he joined the Dodgers 2015 through 2018. That was his last.
Oh, he was on the
season.
18. Okay, 18 was his last year. Ooh, brutal back-to-back losses in the. But he has his Phillies ring, so he's doing okay.
Yeah. When he goes to the Cooperstown Hall of Fame, he'll probably have a Phillies hat.
It'll be a little P there for sure.
Yeah.
Even though like he's from like LA. I'm pretty sure he's like a UCLA guy. So like LA definitely like probably his like boyhood dream of getting to, go to a World Series with the Dodgers. But his one was from 2008. God, that feels so long ago now at this point.
I know. But I now follow him on Instagram for no reasons at all. Just he's a great dude all around.
Yeah. I love his appearances on It's Always Sunny.
Yeah. Also, I didn't realize he actually did move to England like 2 years ago.
Really? That's
I was reading that. Like he lives there now with his wife for 2 years now. He's been there because they all have that, football team over there.
Oh, that is true. Yeah,
he's very heavily involved in that. So he's there full time.
That's crazy.
Which is cool.
Yeah, I would love to, again, the privilege of, just being like owning a football team because, Ryan Reynolds just DMs you on Instagram.
Right? like, that's not fair.
No, it's really not, but that's hilarious.
As someone who loves all three of those men deeply, I'm just like, can I be a secretary somewhere?
Right? Just hire me, and then they have and apparently that reality show is actually kind of fun too.
Yeah.
And they've turned the team around. They were like actually kind of good, I hear. So it's just like that's
It's like
hilarious.
real life Ted Lasso.
True, like 100%, 100%. They're having fun, so good for them.
Love it. I talked about the Philly fanatic going wild.
Yes.
Their Instagram, the Phillies Instagram, all that time was just hilarious. I don't know if you were following it.
No, but I saw him dressed as like the Beefeater, and I lost it.
Yeah, that was some good content. And then
Mm-hmm.
like the Mets were, I mean, obviously the Mets were doing stuff, and there was a picture with like Mr. and Mrs. Met and the Philly fanatic in the middle, and the like Mrs. Met cheating rumors were fired back up.
Oh my god, that's
They
crazy.
now have a joint Twitter account. I don't know if you know that.
Do
But
they?
Mr. and Mrs. Met now just have a joint Twitter account. And when couples have to go that route, there's been some infidelity.
Uh-oh. I mean, he's tall and green, so I mean, he's got that long tongue. Like, what
I think
more
she
does a
also
girl
just has
need?
a thing for green in general because there were rumors flying around with Southpaw too.
Oh, maybe she's just got a green men or her thing.
I guess so.
Yeah. Maybe Wally should look out.
I know.
Coming for you, Wally.
She's the next one. But yeah, so they have a joint Twitter account, and people were very angry.
That's so funny.
So there might be a divorce coming at the end of the season. Who knows?
A split. No.
Speaking of splits,
but
they did split this.
Yes. Good. I feel like that's nice, at least for both fan bases,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
to sort of get a split there.
The second game was fun. I don't know if you watched any of it. I caught highlights mostly. But it was exciting in this ninth inning because normally the Mets bullpen just implodes.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what they're known for. So
yeah.
Here's our situation. Bryce Harper singles to load the bases. Drew Smith, just walking, forcing in runs, putting the Phillies back within one. This poor kid, Torrance, he comes in with his sixth game in a Mets uniform and had managed to get a very rare 2-3 double play on Nick Castellanos when he grounded in front of the plate. And that ended the series. And I was looking, I should have posted a video. I don't think I've seen a double play like that in my time watching baseball.
I'll have to check it out. I haven't seen it.
I'll have to link it when we do our show notes.
Sounds good. Yeah, I want to take a peek at it. But yeah, so it had been a little bit of a while since we were away, so there was a lot to catch up on. But I promise I will be better at being available.
We have crazy lives. Bayleigh is helping her parents move right now.
Yeah,
I have very active children on summer break that play baseball and constantly feel the need to drain my wallet with adventures.
Of course, they're kids. That's what they want.
I'm going to by the time this will probably be out Tuesday. I'm taking my daughter to see Melanie Martinez on Thursday, saving $4,000 by not going to see Taylor Swift instead.
Oh my God.
I was really trying to get her those Taylor Swift tickets, and then
why is it that much money?
Well, it's the bots that bought tickets.
I know. And
but I looked the cheapest seats for like the Indianapolis show.
Yeah.
Again, she plays 3 nights in each place at least. And the cheapest tickets I saw would have been almost $5,000 total after taxes.
Absolutely not.
Restricted view seats in the nosebleed section.
No.
So then I'm like, well, she's in Europe right now. I'm just gonna for funsies price this out, right? It would have been, I would have either broke even or maybe spent $500 more if I just expedited a passport for her, got round trip tickets to, like, there was Wales, there was one in Germany, and there was one in Ireland. Those were the ones I was looking at. Like, round trip airfare, expedited passport, hotel, tickets, and like a little budget for, merch and food. I would have either broke even doing that instead of going to Indy or spent like maybe $500 more.
That's crazy.
And go
Now
to
that would be
Europe.
wild. That'd be wild. She would never forget that. That's
I
for
know,
damn
but I was
sure.
like, that's
still crazy.
That's not in my budget.
Also,
right
like, there's a
now.
part of me that's like, yes, seeing a live show, never for that amount of money, and you could just rewatch her movie concert and call it a night.
Exactly. You can
That's
spend way
insane.
less on Disney Plus.
I've seen Taylor live. I'm not like a diehard Taylor fan, but I really like 1989. But I
Mhm.
unfortunately went to the Reputation concert, and I'm
Oh.
not a big Reputation fan. And I was just like, I've been to better concerts.
See, my daughter is a big Reputation girl.
Oh, okay then. Yeah,
So
I
she
was
would
just
have
like,
been, but I mean, she didn't get into Taylor until just the past few years, so
oh,
it wouldn't have
interesting.
mattered to her then. But yeah, so instead we're gonna go see Melanie Martinez, her second favorite.
Good, and a lot more affordable, I'm assuming.
Not $4,000, still expensive. Not
But not
$4,000.
$4,000. That's just and like that's the issue is that it is all the bots. It's
Mhm.
not the artist. It's like I feel like there should be like it should be illegal what they're doing, like
Yeah,
these
and
like
it
resale things.
and that was the whole reason I checked like the European dates to see if it's really bad there, and it wasn't. Those
Yeah.
tickets were
They're probably regulated there,
yeah,
right? Unlike
yeah,
here.
they have to be regulated because they were fair. I mean, maybe like 5-10% above what they paid, but nothing more than like 200% above what they paid,
Yeah.
like it is here. So
That's crazy. Well, I'm glad she's at least seeing someone that she could be excited about, and it's not costing you $5,000.
yeah, I spent too much because my son now he wanted a football game. That was his little thing. So we're gonna go see the Bears play in Indianapolis since they're never there, and I am a Bears fan, unfortunately. So it's like $400 later, and we're gonna go see football.
Yeah.
So
Now you could go to guaranteed rate field for nothing probably. Go see some more
they're like probably just giving away tickets for free at this point.
Oh god, I feel bad. I feel bad. But my team's mid, your team is bad. Let's see what the rest of the season brings.
Let's just end it now.
We're done. We're done. We're done. Hey, but like you'll have a better chance at getting a but see, at least with you being this crappy right now, you're not guaranteed the best pick in the draft because this stupid lottery thing now.
Yeah,
So stupid. I'm sorry. I hate it.
like the best we could probably get is like 10th at this point, which is ridiculous.
Yeah,
But
because that's like some people are like, I wish the Red Sox were just terrible so we get a better pick. I'm like, dude, you're not guaranteed a good pick anymore.
mm-mm.
Like the lottery, you could be the worst team, and just the way the numbers play out, like yeah, like you said, you get like the 10th best pick or something. I'd be livid.
This isn't basketball, friends. Baseball is way different.
Yeah, yeah. So,
All right.
but this
Well,
is fun.
yes, that's what we have. We'll be back hopefully sooner than later next
Yes,
time.
yes,
And yeah, go follow us on Twitter at Soxy Chicks.
yes.
See ya.
Bye, guys.